One of the big controversies of the weekend was Bill Burr. So I've spoken about Bill Burr on the program. And as I've said before, Bill Burr has completely lost the thread, absolutely lost the thread. So Bill Burr has decided, as a very rich individual who makes money by saying funny things sometimes. And again, this is coming from somebody who really enjoyed, for example, his Red Rock special. I think that he's done some really funny stuff in the past. And then he decided that he was going to go not just woke, but the wokest of the woke on everything from race to economics. So on his Monday morning podcast, he decided that he was going to sound off about billionaires again. Now, again, this is not his first rodeo on this particular topic. We talked about this a few weeks ago. He suggested that Luigi Mangione, who is the shooter of Brian Thompson, who is the head of United Healthcare, he was the CEO over there, the murderer of that guy on the street, Bill Burr had suggested that he basically had it coming because he ran a health insurance company. Well, now Bill Burr has expanded his critique out to all billionaires. Apparently, according to Bill Burr, simply earning a lot of money in the United States or anywhere else means that you should be murdered. This means that Bill Burr is both a moral and an economic idiot. This is not actually how economics works. The way that you become a billionaire in a free market capitalist system is by generating new goods, products, and services at a price enough affordable that people want to get it. That is how you make a lot of money. Back in the old days of feudalism, the way that you made a lot of money is by robbing poor people and taking all their stuff. And you had to do that to a lot of poor people because they didn't have a lot of stuff. And it turns out the people in those days who were rich actually weren't all that rich by modern standards. They didn't have any modern conveniences. There was no innovation or anything like that. Okay, but billionaires of today, generally speaking, are billionaires because they created something that's awesome for everybody. But Bill Burr obviously doesn't understand economics. He doesn't understand morality either, because his suggestion is that if you, apparently, if you are worth $999 million, you're good to go. If you make $1 billion, you should be murdered on the streets, according to Bill Burr.
The amount of people that are struggling out there because of these billionaires, and they got us all arguing liberal and conservative. We got to stop doing that. If you work a full week at a job, you should be able to pay your rent. You shouldn't have to go out and get another job and still be struggling. It's bad for the country. These billionaires, they need to be put down. You know, like rabid dogs.
And then he added, they are rabid with effing greed and they're going out and dividing everybody. Well, there's certainly no divisiveness I'm sensing from Bill Burr there, talking about how people should be, legitimately murdered for earning too much money in the United States. It's this sort of terrible economic analysis that leads to Bernie Sandersdom. You just say, in the free country, nobody should have to live on more than one salary. Okay, well, thanks for your statement about realities that you wish didn't exist. Now, what is your alternative? Because it turns out the government ownership and redistribution of resources makes everyone extremely poor. It turns out that massive tax rates, confiscatory tax rates, kill the very businesses that people need to work for. It turns out that high levels of government regulation and intervention in the real estate market tend to generate higher prices in real estate, including in rent. That's what rent control does, for example. A misbegotten attempt to punish developers who are, quote unquote, billionaires by controlling the rents. And what you end up with is less production of buildings. The economy is dynamic. People like Bill Burr believe that the economy is static. And so billionaires are just taking a bigger chunk of a fixed pie. But that is not how the economy works. But where that shades over into truly evil thinking is when you start translating that into violence. That billionaires, because you misunderstand economics, need to be killed because they're suddenly centralizing all the resources. Please, name me the person from whom Elon Musk has stolen money. Seriously, I'd like to hear the name of that person so Elon Musk can repay that money. For that matter, I would love to know from whom Bill Burr has stolen his money. Bill Burr has a net worth, apparently, around $20 million. From whom did he steal that money? What's the cutoff for being a bad person? Is it like $21 million or something? It turns out that Bill Burr charges a lot of money for his comedy special. Shouldn't he give it out for free? I mean, there are a lot of working people who really like Bill Burr, and they now have to choose between paying their rent and getting a Bill Burr ticket. So, maybe he should give away all of his product for free. Did you know that American homeowners have over $32 trillion in equity? Criminals are targeting it with a growing scam the FBI calls house stealing. Scammers can transfer your title out of your name using a one-page document they file at county. Then they take out loans against it or even sell it behind your back. The most concerning part, you're not going to find out about it until collection or foreclosure notices start arriving in your mailbox, leaving you with a financial and legal nightmare. The best way to protect your equity is with Home Title Lock's exclusive $1 million triple lock protection. This service offers 24/7 monitoring, urgent alerts, and if fraud does occur, their US-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix the fraud and restore your title. Our own senior video editor, Adam, trusts them to protect his home. You can too. So, when was the last time that you checked on your title? If the answer is you never have, well, that's what the scammers are counting on. The good news is we've partnered with Home Title Lock to offer you all 25% off their services. So head on over to HometitleLock.com, use my promo code Shapiro25 to save 25%, and you'll also get a free title history report to ensure you're not already a victim. Make sure you check out the $1 million triple lock protection details when you get there. Link below, that's HometitleLock.com, promo code Shapiro25. The reason this matters is because I have a fear. Here is my fear. The American body politic tends to pendulum from side to side. This is how you end up with Trump and then Biden and then Trump again. But I think that the next pendulum swing, and there will always be another pendulum swing, is going to be to the far left, to the economic populist far left, to people who agree with Bill Burr. If there is an economic downturn in any way, shape, or form, because the American people have not been made aware of the realities of how economics works, because our education system has failed them completely on all of this, this sort of zero-sum ugly thinking is going to eventually gain victory in the United States at some point, not permanently, but at some point, because of all of the broken systems of education that have been put in place in this country. Because people have become so comfortable with the bizarre idea that rich people are stealing from poor people. Now, for the moment, it's really unpopular, and it should remain really unpopular because it is a stupid, terrible idea. And the same thing happens to be true in terms of the sort of zero-sum thinking that some people have on race in this country. It turns out that in a free country, people of all races should do better. But there are some people who don't believe that. People like, for example, Trevor Noah and Princeton professor Ruha Benjamin, who have now basically come all the way, they've horseshoed around to the racist right, and they are now arguing in favor of segregation because the races can't get along with one another, according to these geniuses on the left.
I know what your shout means, the same way an Italian knows what an Italian shout means.
Yeah.
Right? I know I'm prefacing it with a lot because it's a loaded question.
Yes.
But I would love to know if you think integration was the right solution, maybe, on the other side of, America, of civil rights.
Yeah. No, I don't. And I don't think it's actually that controversial when if you understand that segregation and integration weren't the only options. Like those are within those two options, it may seem like integration is the more progressive. Like, of course, we don't want segregation. But again, when you're being integrated into institutions, into a culture that's a supremacist culture, that's a culture that feeds off of hierarchy, that feeds off of insecurity, anxiety, why are we being integrated into that?
I mean, this is how pathetic the left has become. Okay, so they are arguing in favor of fixed pie economics, which has been debunked by literally all of human history in every country. And they are arguing in favor of sort of a fixed pie with regard to racial reconciliation, that the races can't get along. It's a white supremacist system. This is why it is so important that President Trump succeed, truly. Because if these are the two sides and only one side can win, right? If the left continues to follow the Bill Burr economic populist path and the Trevor Noah, Ruha Benjamin racial path, and if that pendulum tends to swing, it is very important that President Trump continue to be successful. It is really, really, really important because if he is not successful, if he does not succeed, the alternative is this trash, this ugly, immoral trash. Are you tired of the lies and the twist of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.